Why is it that sometimes, even when you know that person isn't worth it, even when you know their words are cheap, clumsy, or openly malicious, the second it reaches your ears, your heartbeat still surges out of control, your chest tightens, and a powerful urge to strike back floods your mind? Why is it that even while telling yourself, ignore it, let it go, it's not worth it, I can't let someone like this affect me, you still find yourself replaying it over and over in those few offended seconds? What did they mean by that? Who do they think they are, talking to me like that? Should I hit back right now? Should I make sure they know they picked the wrong person? And why is it that when the anger truly rises, you suddenly realize you are no longer the one in control of it? It feels more like the anger has grabbed you and is pulling you forward by force. Your voice sharpens, your breathing quickens, your thinking narrows, and even the calmest, most composed, most dignified part of you seems to get shoved into a corner. If these moments feel painfully familiar, then what we're talking about today is not how to manage anger, and it is not whether you should tolerate disrespect. What we're going to uncover instead is something colder, deeper, and far more uncomfortable. Very often, anger is not your strength. It is simply a signal, a clear signal that in that moment you have quietly handed over your inner sovereignty to someone else. Imagine a very ordinary scene. You're in a meeting. You've just finished explaining your idea. Someone across from you gives a slight smile and says, "That sounds a little unrealistic." The tone isn't harsh. If anything, it's almost casual. But in that exact moment, your body reacts before your mind does. Your heart suddenly speeds up, your chest tightens hard, and your mind instantly begins assembling a counterattack. You might think, what does that mean? Is he dismissing me? Should I push back right now? On the surface, it seems like they crossed a line. But psychologically, what is actually happening is something very different. There's a concept in psychology and neuroscience called an amygdala hijack. When you feel offended, the amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for emotional threat detection, fires instantly and overrides the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for rational judgment, strategy, and long-range control. In other words, the moment anger begins rising, your brain is already losing the most valuable part of itself. And what is the other person doing? Maybe it was just a careless remark. Maybe they were testing your boundaries. Maybe they were unconsciously discharging their own emotional state. But whatever their motive, the moment you get triggered, you've already stepped into the rhythm they set. You start explaining, defending, pushing back. And little by little, you drift away from what actually mattered to you in the first place. That is the subtle reversal. You are no longer the one controlling the situation. You have become the one responding to them, and that is the trap. Anger is not power. It is simply a signal that your emotional system has quietly been taken over by something outside of you. You think you're expressing yourself, but in reality, you are being driven. And the moment you are being driven, you've already lost the first move. So, is it possible to stop being pulled in instantly? Yes. But the key is not suppressing anger. The key is noticing something most people completely overlook, the small gap that exists just before your reaction. Psychiatrist Viktor Frankl once said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space, and within that space lies your freedom." The problem is, most people never actually feel that space. Take a simple example. You're driving. Someone suddenly cuts you off, then even turns back and glares at you. Almost instantly, you're already angry. Your hands grip the wheel. Your heart rate spikes. Your mind begins to imagine the next move, what you might say, what you might do. There's no pause. That is what it means to live without the gap. Your system jumps directly from stimulus to reaction. The real practice is to gently stretch that process. When the trigger happens, you don't enter the emotion immediately. You take a small step back, and you observe. Instead of participating, you begin to examine, like a doctor looking at symptoms. A doctor does not feel offended when a patient coughs. They simply ask, Is this inflammation, infection, or stress response? In the same way, when someone speaks to you with aggression, you can shift your perspective. Is this anxiety, insecurity, or unprocessed pressure? At the same time, you do something very concrete. You deliberately slow your breathing. Inhale slowly. Exhale even more slowly. Let your body step out of tension first, because when the body relaxes, the brain has a chance to come back online. This process may seem simple, but in reality, you are doing something extremely important. You are reclaiming the power to choose your response. And once that gap exists, you are no longer someone who is triggered. You become someone who chooses. Now imagine a more personal situation, not a meeting, not a stranger, but someone close to you, a partner, a family member. One day, you express something honestly. You've already tried to be calm, measured, and careful. They look at you, smile slightly, and say, "Are you being a little too sensitive?" Or even more directly, "You're overthinking it." What happens in that moment? You freeze. Then almost immediately you begin to doubt yourself. Just seconds ago you were expressing something real and valid, but suddenly you are the one who seems wrong. So you start explaining, adding more details, clarifying your intention, trying to prove, "I'm not being sensitive, I just..." But the more you explain, the more relaxed they become, even slightly impatient, and you become more and more disoriented. If you've experienced this, you already understand something important. What hurts is not the sentence itself. It is the moment you are redefined by it, and then try to defend yourself inside that definition. That is the exact moment when power shifts. In psychology, this dynamic is often linked to projection. When someone cannot regulate their own inner state, they externalize it by placing that instability onto you. And the moment you begin to defend yourself, you have already accepted the legitimacy of that label. But once you see this clearly, everything begins to change. The next time it happens, you don't rush to explain. You pause and quietly ask yourself, is this actually about me? Or is this simply their current state speaking? And more often than not, you will realize it was never about you. It was about what they couldn't face within themselves. And the moment you stop receiving that label, it loses its weight. The dynamic breaks. They hesitate. They lose their rhythm. Because the method they relied on no longer works. You didn't fight to take back control. You didn't argue for it. You simply stopped participating. And in that moment, control returns to you, naturally. At some point, you may begin to notice something. Most of the exhaustion in your life doesn't come from the things that truly matter. It comes from this: being pulled away again and again, a sentence, a tone, a single look, and suddenly, your mind starts replaying everything. You revisit the conversation. You ask yourself, did I say something wrong? You even begin preparing what you'll say next time, just to get it right. But have you ever stopped to ask, why do you need to get it right just to be allowed to exist? Why do you have to reshape yourself to fit into someone else's unstable emotional world? The moment you begin asking that question, something shifts, because your attention moves away from how others see you and returns to where you place yourself. There's a simple but powerful truth in psychology. What you focus on eventually controls you. If your attention is constantly fixed on other people, their tone, their judgment, their reactions, you will be pulled by them. But when you stop reacting, something subtle begins to change. The world does not become quieter. People will still judge, still misunderstand, still provoke, but you no longer enter. You no longer feel the need to respond to everything, to explain everything, to prove anything. And in that space, you begin to recover something most people don't even realize they've lost: the ability to choose what deserves your energy. Your emotions are no longer cheap. Your attention no longer scatters everywhere. You're no longer someone who gets pulled in every direction. You become someone who can stand still. And real power has nothing to do with what you say. It is this: in the exact moment you are meant to be provoked, you remain unmoved, not because you suppressed anything, but because there is nothing in you left for them to take. This is Felix. May you understand yourself a little deeper and treat the growing version of you with patience and kindness. See you next time.